All right, so good morning, everyone. I'm Vicki Overman, and I am so excited to welcome you to our first ever book club discussion sponsored by the Women's Professional Network. We are so fortunate to have our guest speaker with us today. Like so many of us in the working world today, Darcy Eikenberg wears so many hats. She's an executive coach to leaders at companies such as the Coca-Cola Company, Microsoft, State Farm, Deloitte, and so many more. She consults and speaks on career growth, employee engagement, and leadership issues, and she blogs regularly on leadership and career issues at redcaperevolution.com. If you haven't joined her free insider community at redcaperevolution.com to get weekly updates and strategies, I encourage you to do so. I did so last year and have found those blogs and tips so motivating and encouraging and practical. So take time to do that. She is the author of Red Cape Rescue, Save Your Career Without Leaving Your Job, and her ideas have been shared in Forbes, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and CNN, among others. Hopefully you've all had an opportunity to read your copy of the book, and Darcy's joined us today to talk to us about some of the things that she spoke about in her book. She has served as principal and communication consulting business leader at the former Hewitt Associates and now Alight Solutions, so she knows our business really, really well. Darcy brings a sense of humor to serious matters in our work and our careers, and she offers simple, practical ways to change our lives at work for the better and for good. Please join me in welcoming Darcy Eikenberg. Darcy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody taking time out of their busy schedule to be here, to take a breath, to do something that's for you, to invest in you and your time and your own development. So I'm so excited that you're here. If you haven't stopped in the chat and said hello and where you are, please do. We are going to cover a lot of ideas today, but we're also, most importantly, going to have some time where you'll get to connect with a small group of others, where we'll do some breakouts. So we'll do that so you get to be able to connect with some other folks that maybe you haven't connected with yet. Maybe you haven't seen them for a while. So when we do that, you're welcome. Please turn your cameras back on, make sure your audio's on, but we'll get to some of those breakouts in a minute. But as we get started, if you've had the opportunity to read the book yet, and I know not everybody has, that's okay. You might know, though, that one of the chapters that's in it, and one of my favorite chapters, is one on accelerate appreciation. And so before we begin, let's just start with the thank you, right? Thank you so much for having interest in the book. Thank you to your Women's Professional Network for their interest, their investment in so many ways. And as some of you may know, that it takes a lot to put together a book, to put together ideas, and just to put yourself out there. And so I'm just so grateful for your involvement, for your presence here today, and your willingness to be part of a conversation. But I want to share with you that the truth is that you are really the hero here. You are my hero in so many ways. Now, you may not be feeling like it. Look at what you've done this year. You may not feel like you have done a ton this year, but I can promise you, you have done so much more than you give yourself credit for. I mean, look at this list. My bet is there's something from this list that you have done. Something that you are proud of, something that you maybe even forgot that you have done so far. We so often get caught up in all the things that, the final goal, the final end state, that we forget that we really need to take credit for all the little things that get us there. So how about you? What's one thing that you're proud of doing, or maybe not doing, in 2021? I want us to be able to take a little bit of time, and really we're just going to take 4 minutes, okay? So 4 minutes to chat with your colleagues. We're going to move into breakout rooms in a few minutes, and I want you to share one thing in that quick, fast breakout room, one thing you're proud of doing or maybe not doing in 2021. Now, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Sometimes when we go into little groups like this, somebody feels awkward or they're not right sure who to start. I'm going to ask the person whose birthday is earliest in the year. So January, February, March, would you start? So when you pop on, if you know you're a January person, say, I'm January, I'll start. But pop that on. That person take the responsibility to start. And then you only have 4 minutes. So keep the conversation going. We should only have 3 or 4 in your group, but just share the one thing you're proud of doing or not doing. There's no right or wrong answer. There's nobody watching or judging you here. This is just a chance for you to talk about something that you are proud of, okay? All right. So when you go to breakout rooms, be sure to unmute yourself. You will probably know when you see 4 people on there and you can't hear them. So unmute yourself. And please feel free to turn on your cameras. We love to see your smiling face. We're going to let you go to the breakout rooms, just 4 minutes, and then we'll come back and we're going to dive in to some more of the content from Red Cape Rescue and also be able to answer your questions. So Deb, will you send us off to breakout rooms to be able to talk about the one thing you're proud of doing or not doing in 2021? Go. Okay. All right. So tell me in the chat, folks, what are some of the things that you were proud of doing? What were you hearing? What were you hearing other people proud of? Just go ahead and pop that into the chat. So this is something that we just we just don't talk about enough, right? But this is definitely something that we need to find those places to accelerate appreciation, as I talk about in the book, to find those little moments. Strong ladies getting through tough times, recommitting to health, taking a chance on a new role, right? In one of my groups, somebody just hit a year anniversary and taking chances, speaking up. This is great. Keep them coming. Also, as we go along, when you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We've got times set for questions toward the end, but there might be questions that come up for you or things you want to make sure that we don't miss. If for some reason I do miss it, then here's my promise to you that after this webinar, we've actually created a place that we'll have this for you that you can go back and reference, and then I'll answer other questions there. So great, we've got new skills, we've got new things, terrific, right? So as we move forward, we are now looking down staring at the new year coming up, right? And so this is why I'm so excited to be here with you today, because this is the perfect time to have a conversation about how to be your own hero in your life at work, how not to wait for the economy to change or the world to change or anything else to change, but to know what we can control. And we can set our fresh direction. I saw several of you in the chat say one of the things you're proud of is setting directions for your career, taking on new challenges. It's time that we can learn how to do the things we need to do for our careers ourselves and not have to struggle or wait or suffer or complain. We have so much more in us than we can. And I think also it's a great time to remember that we are not virtual. Even though we're talking like this, we are real. Each of us is real with all the challenges, the blessings and the curses that come with being a real human being. And so as just a quick thank you, because you're here, you're real, you showed up today. You got the book as a gift from the Women's Professional Network, but I would like to also gift one of you today a power hour session with me. And all that is a power coaching session. It's just an hour where we dig deeper on anything in the book you want to go through or anything we're going to talk about today or something just going on in your life at work. So if you want to be in that, just write in the chat, I'm in. And then at the end of our conversation today, Deb's just going to randomly pull one from her magic hat, and we'll go from there. So if you're want to be in the drawing, just type I'm in the chat. So also, as another bonus for you, some of you found this already, but we actually have created a whole toolkit to accompany the book. It's videos from me that kind of take you through the high level of each chapter, and it is totally free. Vicki mentioned my insider community. When you sign up for the toolkit, you also automatically join my insider community. Again, totally free. It's a little way that I can kind of keep in touch with you and send you little tips and encouragement every week. So there's a page I made specifically for you. When this webinar is done, we'll post it on that page and we'll send it out so you have it. But it's redcaperevolution.com/alight. So you can find links and other resources that'll be there too. So if you're in for the drawing, say I'm in, and then later you'll have this information to go back and look at. So on to being the hero in our life at work. There are 3 core things that I want to share with you today that are really highlights that apply to your work at Alight right now. And the first one is around resetting how you think. And this, you may have, if you saw the book, is to really understand your core powers. I believe we have more power than we ever realize it. And the truth is, though, that we only control 3 things. We control everything we think, everything we say, and everything we do. And that's it. You know, this comes as a surprise to so many high performers, like the people that you are and the people that you work with, because we're trying so hard to control everything. We want to control our teams. We want to control our clients. That's not going to happen. All we can do is control the things, our inputs, right? The things we say, we do, and how we think about it. And because this is so foundational, one of the chapters that really goes into one of the hardest parts of that, controlling what we think, is what I call conquer the battle of the brain. If you haven't had a chance to read anything yet in Red Cape Rescue, you might just pull out this chapter because it's so different and so critical that we conquer all those little voices in the brain, right? You know those voices. It's the voice that's saying, I can't do it. I'm not ready. I'm not good at that. They won't let me do that. This isn't good. Or even just simply, what's wrong with me? I've heard those voices. I think we've all had that voice, that part of our brain that speaks to us like that. And the truth is that that voice lies. That voice gets in your way. It's not the sage and wise you. It's actually the part that's sabotaging you, the prehistoric part that is trying to keep you safe, but that's not helping you. You are safe. You need to learn how to talk back to that part of your brain. And this is what conquering the battle of the brain really is. One of the great ways to conquer the battle of the brain, to talk back to the brain, is to give it a name. I have a client who called her voice Little Trouble. Like, okay, go away, Little Trouble. Yeah, be quiet, Little Trouble. I have another client who calls her voice by the name of a 3rd grade teacher who didn't particularly encourage her or support her. You can distinguish those negative voices in your brain, the ones that get in the way of you speaking up for the next opportunity or being able to deal with the client situation when they're not happy and go in bravely and explain what happened and listen to them even when they're having a bad day. These are things that you can do when we conquer the battle of the brain. So tell me in the chat, just in the chat, what do you need to say to talk back to your brain? You know what that little chatter is. You know the things that you're hearing. What is it that you need to talk back to it? Do you need to tell it to go take a hike? Do you need this? Silencio, I have this, right? I love that. Silencio. Yeah, you're wrong. I can do this. Right. That is not my truth. These are great. Think about, what do you need to say? It's not too hard. Great. Yeah, what do you need to say to talk back to your brain? This is a life strategy that we can use this at any stage in our career. Can use this at any stage that in whenever things happen. Oh, I love Sarah's, other people believe in me. Why don't I? So you've done this before, can do it again, from Caprice. Your voice matters. These are great. So when we get more control over what we think, and we learn how to talk back to that annoying part of our brain that keeps us back, we can now also then be a hero when we revise what we say. What do I mean by what we say? Well, one of my favorite chapters in the book, and honestly, one of the things that I continue to work on every single day, is to ask for what you need. This is especially important in your environment right now, when you've moved into a more colleague-driven performance cycle, right? Where we're inviting all of you to be able to speak up when you need things, to be able to have better career conversations, better conversations about our work, and better conversations just with clients and about things that need to happen. And here's this weird part that I realized when I was writing this book, is that we love to be asked, right? We ask questions all the time. We're on local Facebook groups, and we love that. Where's the best place for pizza? Or where's the best outdoor, dog-friendly restaurant? But we hate to ask things. Like, we love to have an answer, but we really get awkward when we have something to ask. Now, maybe not all of you, but this takes a skill, right? And all that's happening here is our nagging brain again. This is our little lizard brain, as the author Seth Godin calls it. It is that prehistoric part that's saying, oh, hey, don't, you might offend somebody, or you might get it wrong, or you might look dumb. We all heard, there are no dumb questions, right? But we still, knowing that, we still don't do it. We try to stay too safe. Here's the science behind this, though, that we mistakenly believe that what we need is clear to everybody else. We mistakenly believe that our managers, our leaders, know that we've been working in this role for about 3 years and we're ready for promotion or advancement or another opportunity. We mistakenly believe that our colleagues know that we're overloaded, that we've been taking on a part of the work that is maybe more than what we comfortably can handle. But here's the truth. We don't know that. I often say to smart professionals like you make it look easy. Let me say that again. You make it look easy. And so when you trying to be a good and responsible person, a great person working at a great company, when you don't ask for what you need because you're trying to take care of everybody else, then that all comes back on you. And there's probably something that you do need. This is a great time to hit the reset button on that, to really look at those things that you need to ask for right now. What are those things? They could fall in a number of categories. It could be that you need a shift in the relationship, maybe something about the boundaries, or maybe around how you're doing things, the processes, the systems. Maybe something about the habits that other people have. I had a client where there was a habit that her direct manager would show up in her office and just kind of stand there. And she had her own interpretation of what that meant. This is back when we were in physical offices, right? But she had her own interpretation of what that meant. but it wasn't until when she said, hey, when you come and stand in my office, I'm always wondering, is there something that I can do for you? And it turned out that there actually were words that the leader who stopped by was intending to say, but was feeling awkward about it. And so it's like calling it out, right? Asking for what you need. Help me understand when you do this, here's the thing that I'm wondering, or here's the thing that I need. You get to hit the reset button right now. And in so many ways, to ask for what you need comes with putting it forward. I often will advise people to use what I call the magic words, right? Times of change are so perfect to use the magic words. All of this change has made me think about X, the thing that I might want to change or ask about. And so I'd like to talk about moving from X to Y, the new state that you want to create. So this is a way you can bring things up, take responsibility, and initiate asking for what you need, starting to co-create with other people what you need. So if you find it hard to get started, these are some ways to do it. Also in the book, there are some more scripts, and in the toolkit as well, there are other scripts to ask for what you need. The biggest thing about asking is that we've got to remember that not asking isn't safe either. And the brain just wants to keep us safe, but I love this quote that a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are for. Same thing with you. That's not what you're for. You're not meant to stay small, to stay safe. You're meant to be the hero in your life at work. And often then you become the hero for other people too. So we're going to go back into our small breakout groups. And I know some people have probably come in since, so maybe your breakout group can help you a little bit. But we're just going to take, again, 4 minutes. So it goes super fast. What do you need to ask for in the new year? Maybe this is something in your life at work. Maybe it's something you need to ask of a client or a colleague. Or maybe it's something you need to ask of the folks at home. Things that have been on your mind, things you need to be more specific and ask for what you need. So checking the time. Remember, when we go into breakouts, come off mute. Be great if you come off camera, let people see your face if you can, if you're someplace safe. I know some of you are driving. So we're just going to take 4 minutes. The person whose birthday is later in the year, so if we had our January or February people, if you are a December person, happy birthday. What you can start, right? Take the lead, kick us off. What do you need to ask for in the new year? So Deb, I'm going to ask you to take everybody to breakout. We're just going to take 4 minutes and then we'll come back. See you soon. What were some of the things that that you all need to ask for? So raises, so raises, help, roles, more support. Absolutely, that comes up a lot. Sometimes we don't know exactly what to ask for. One of our conversations was that, if we're not clear on what we want, how do we know what to ask for? But sometimes just asking for help in figuring it out, being able to ask for somebody, maybe asking for somebody's patience, that somebody really wants to help you, but it's like, okay, I need a little patience, or maybe I need a little boost. Like, can you push me a little more? So there's so many things: setting boundaries, saying no, project management training, permission to say no, great, patience, and engaging challenge, terrific. So asking for what we need and learning and practicing and modeling it. And this is a group of women professionals who are role models in so many ways for so many other people, not only in your teams, but probably in your lives, that especially for women, that if we don't ask for what we need on a regular basis, or if we just kind of sponge it all up and make it look easy, then all that hurts is ourselves. And we need you in our world of work too much more. for you to get burnout or exhausted or sick or anything. So great. So terrific. And I see some people connecting, people reaching out online. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you get a chance to connect here today. So the last area that we're going to talk about is on what you do. So, we've talked about what to think, how to think, and resetting that. We've talked about how to reset what you say, but what can you do? And one of the chapters that you may have read is Forge a Fear Strategy. Okay, fear. I mean, we all hate to think about being in any kind of fear, and yet we all have fear. The part that I think is so powerful is to recognize that fear is always going to pop up. It is a natural part of us being human. If you are afraid of something, you are normal. Congratulations. But we can forge a fear strategy. We can plan ahead of time. And that is, I always think of the 4-letter word that combats fear is plan. We can make decisions right now, not even knowing what we're going to fear coming down the line. We're going to fear that however that client's going to react, or however that leader is going to restructure the group. We can make plans now for when that fear hits. So here is the question: what can you plan that you can think, say, or do when the fear hits? Forging a fear strategy really means that you can have a plan in place. And it can be a simple plan. For me, if you read in the book, a lot of times one of my strategies is when that fear hits, when your body goes tense or your stomach starts to, get all icky, I have to go and drink a glass of water. And then maybe I have to stretch, hang over, do a little yoga stretch. It's just a chance to reset, a chance to breathe, but it's a strategy that takes me out of the moment so that I don't stay in fear for long. You can develop a fear strategy for yourself, something that you can think, say, or do to get ahead of the fear, to stop it in its track. We've got some people, the fear equals face everything and rise. Absolutely. If that's a mantra you need to say to yourself, there it is again. Face everything and rise. One of the posts on that I've written on the blog is called Managing the Messy Middle. And a lot of it came out of some of the learnings that I had in my days as a consultant with the former Hewitt and who is now your all's Alight. And that really there's always that place in a project, right? Where the fear hits, where everything just falls apart. But how do you have a plan ahead of time? First of all, to know that the fear is going to hit, and then to do something that shifts you out of fear mode, get you into moving forward, get you resilient, get you into that place where you are taking care of things instead of fretting and worrying about them and having them wake you up at 3 a.m. Nobody needs that. So share us in the chat. Some of you are already sharing this. Great. What's one thing you can do, can think, can say when the fear hits? What works for you? Or maybe what have you seen somebody else do that just gets them out of that stuck zone and gets them moving forward pretty fast? Yeah, get out of your own way. You've got this. We can say these powerful things to ourselves. You can do this. Again, we can take an action. We can say when that hits, yeah, go. Here's someone says, yep, step away, take a moment of quiet. Take a breath, take a walk, just turn off the computer for a second. There's lots of things. You can do hard things from Lane. Great. Yes. So these are things you have control over right now. We can't control what's going to happen to make us feel fearful, but we can control expecting it. And then when that fear hits, we get to say, well, there you are. I was looking for you. Glad you're here. Let's get you on your way. So That's a way that you can be a hero in your life at work. So I want to open up for just questions from anybody, about the book, about anything that we've talked about today. So if you have a question, would you put it in the chat, or if you want to ask it live, flail madly or tag Deb and so she can see you. I can't see everybody all at once because there's enough of you. But if you have a question that you'd like to ask about the book, about something going on in your team or your life at work, pop in the chat now or flag us and we will answer those questions. So we had a couple of questions that did come in advance. So someone had asked, when you're asking for what you need, how do you know if it's possible that you can get it? So the answer is you don't know. You're not in control of the other people's perspective, the person that you're asking. All that you can control is making the ask. But what I can tell you is that there are ways to make the ask that help somebody get to their decision faster. One of the things I hear a lot of times, people asking for things like raises, promotions, opportunities, even different behavior, is that we hear, yeah, oh, you're thinking, yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, definitely, we want to do that. And then crickets. So one of the strategies that you can use for that you control is to time bind it, to be able to say, great, I'm so glad that you're open to the fact that I'd like to have this new opportunity. What do you need from me to make that happen within the next, and then you pick the time, 3 months, the next year, by the end of April. When we time bind things, we create a little bit more sense of urgency. We create a little bit more sense of accountability with each other. And then you don't lose the control over following up on the thread. You get to continue to ask that question and to say, hey, I know we agreed that we were looking for this, and here's the things that you said, that here's what might take to get it done by April. It's March. How are we going? What do you need from me? So that way you stay in control. And even if that doesn't, the thing you ask for doesn't happen, that just becomes data. It becomes data that tells you about what you need. So there's another question. At what point do you decide to leave your job, assuming you've tried hard to ask for what you need? So obviously you all know that the book that I shared with you is called Red Cape Rescue: Save Your Career Without Leaving Your Job. But there are times when we need to move on. We don't want our colleagues to move on. We want to create environments where they want to stay. But I think that the biggest thing that I see people making a mistake on is that they haven't done the work, both on what do they want, like are they clear on what they want, and are they clear that it's not possible at wherever they are? Because what happens is that opportunities arise all the time. Most of our work is all made up. Half of your roles probably didn't exist 5 years ago. And there are ways that we can take what we know we want to do, the kinds of work, the kinds of ways we want to work, and look around in our organization for the problems and the pain that we can solve. If we've done that, instead of waiting for someone to pick us, waiting for someone to be our hero, which is often what happens. We're waiting for other people, and then we decide to move on because other people haven't picked us. What if you pick yourself? And then if you've done that, you try to do that, you've had conversations, and it's just not going to be there, then I think that's a time where you've given it a good shot. And you've had the conversations and you've built some muscle asking for what you need. Then I think there's times when you can move on in good consciousness. But we don't want anybody to have to move on from Alight. We want Alight to be the place where people want to come. So, but I thank you for the anonymous question. And we'll move forward from here. I don't see any other questions coming in. If you do have questions, of course, you're going to have access to the toolkits. you're going to have access to other resources from me. And then in my insider community, as Vicki mentioned, I answer emails all the time in there. So let's take one other question, just checking time. I manage a colleague who's struggling with some aspects of their job. What are some ways I can share some of the suggestions in your book in a respectful way, or other suggestions I can share with them about how to start thinking about their own career? So thank you, Beth, for the question. This is actually something we're working on now, of to have really a manager guide to the concepts in Red Cape Rescue, where you, for somebody you care about, if you're a manager or leader, you can hand somebody the book and say, hey, I read this. This was really helpful to me. There are some things that I might observe that where you might have an opportunity to take back more control. And I'm open to that. I would love for us to be having conversations about some of these bigger things that might be helpful to you as you decide what it is you want in your career. I'm here to help. I'm here to talk about some of these ideas more deeply, and be able to give it to somebody as a gift. So that's one way. And then again, watch our insider group and Tools for More. We're going to be sharing more tools just for managers. So thanks for that question. One more question before we go on. How important is attitude? Do you have recommendations of how to best approach working with a colleague who's very good at what they do, but has a very negative or pessimistic outlook on what's possible? This is where the conquering the battle of the brain idea might be useful for somebody. One of the things that a traditionally negative attitude, it's a learned safety mechanism, right? Someone has learned along the way that that's their protection. But the challenge is with overt negativity is that negative emotion pulls us back. Positive emotion is what pulls us forward and also pulls people toward us. So we're not talking about toxic positivity here. We're not talking about fake it till you make it, but it may be helping that person be aware of how they're coming across and how it might be getting in their way and how they might take another choice. In the paperback version of the book, it's in the ebook too, but also in the toolkit, there's a downloadable chart about alternate ways to think, just two sides of every thought. It may be something to share with somebody to say, you can choose what you think. Why not choose something that is moving you forward as opposed to someone that's pulling you back? So, okay, well, let's move on to one last, I think we have time for one last quick breakout group, but keep putting things in the chat. And remember, if you want to be in the drawing, make sure you said I'm in. We're going to do that right after this breakout. This is just a quick 4-minute breakout. What's one idea you're taking from today, or maybe you took from the book, that you want to use for yourself or your team? So Deb, will you send us off to breakouts again? Just again, really quick, get a chance to connect. One idea you're taking from today or you took from the book that you want to use for yourself or your team. So let's go into breakouts. Pop in the chat something that you said or something that you heard, something you're taking away from the conversation today, something that, one idea from whether the book or from the quick chat we've had today, maybe some idea you got from somebody in your breakout room. But what's one idea? To tell us in the chat, what's one idea that you're taking away today to use for yourself or for your team? Or get everybody back, get the gang back together. Deb, you can tell me when we got everybody in. Ask questions. Yep. Yeah, questions are a power tool, right? I mean, this is how we translate the world, is asking questions. Never occurred to me that I could be my own hero. Yeah. Why wait to be picked? Why wait for somebody to come and rescue you when you've got all the tools that you need? You just need to know that you control what you think, what you say, and what you do. Don't read into the meaning of something, just ask. Great. Okay, so keep putting your ideas that you're taking away for yourself. And before one just quick story for you, but I want to announce who our winner is. So Deb, are you, we'll bring you off mute for a second. So everybody who'd said they're in, Deb, you randomly put everybody in a hat and pick the winner, and the winner is?
Sarah Matheson.
Sarah Matheson. So congratulations, Sarah. You get a power hour coaching with me where we can go deeper on any of these issues or anything that's happening in your life at work. And I'm so excited that you're here live and you're able to do that. So congrats, Sarah. So, all right. We ran through a lot of things today. If you've read the book, there's so much more. If you haven't read the book yet, I hope that you do. We specifically designed it, wrote it to be easy, scannable, to be exactly for people like you in busy lives, in a busy world, that you could just open it up and find some little tidbit that you can use right now. But, you know, sometimes these things, they're not always easy, right? They're not always perfect. It's one of the reasons we wanted to give you some other ways to be able to absorb the information and to use it. And that's what the toolkit is, the free toolkit. And we'll put the recording of this video on this page, but at redcaperevolution.com/alight. Right now, there's the link to get to the free toolkit, as well as other links to other articles. Vicki mentioned my insider community. There's a link to that as well. And other ways that you can help spread the word of the book. If you'd like to write a review or share it with somebody else, all that information is there. And I'm so appreciative of anything you'd like to do. But truly, as someone had said in the chat, that they never realized they could be their own hero. I don't want you to wait to think about how the world will change, or how wait for the economy to change, or wait for somebody to get back to you, or wait for whatever you might be waiting for, the new client, the new opportunity. Being clear on who we are and what we want, being clear on what I call our superpower space, and being able to know that when we take control of what we think, what we say, what we do, we can be the hero that we're meant to be for us. And when we do that for us, here's what I know. There's a ripple effect that we become the hero, not only to ourselves, but to others. With that, I thank you so much for being here today. We're almost at the top of the hour. If you want to say anything else in chat, give us one word for how you're going to go into the rest of the week and how you're going to start the year strong as this year ends. Go ahead and say that. But I am grateful to all of you who have been here, and all of you who will watch on the replay. It was so much fun to reconnect, and hopefully there are things that you can use for yourself and for your teams. Okay, great to see everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Talk to you all soon.